For 30 years, the world called this man a billionaire. Newspapers printed it. Magazines repeated it. The most powerful people on Earth flew on his plane because of it. He owned the largest private home in New York, a private island, a fleet of aircraft. There was only one problem with the word billionaire. Nobody could ever prove it was true. Where did Jeffrey Epstein's money actually come from? Ask the people whose job it was to know, and the answer, again and again, was the same. They had no idea. On Wall Street, money leaves a trail. Trades, funds, filings, clients, fees. Every real fortune casts a shadow you can follow. Epstein cast almost none. In the financial world, by the accounts of those who looked, he was effectively a ghost. He ran what he called a money management firm. But he never publicly disclosed a single client. He never disclosed his revenue. He never disclosed the trades that supposedly built the fortune. His story was that he only worked for people worth more than $1 billion, and that he turned everyone else away. It was a story that conveniently meant no ordinary client could ever check it. A fund that manages billions has offices, analysts, auditors, regulators. Epstein's operation had none of the scale that number would demand. So how does a man with no visible business become one of the most talked about fortunes in America? To answer that, you have to go back to the beginning. And the beginning is almost ordinary. In the 1970s, Epstein was a college dropout teaching math and science at an elite Manhattan prep school. He had no finance degree, no banking background. What he had was a gift for getting close to powerful men. A parent at that school was connected to the chairman of the Wall Street firm Bear Stearns. According to widely reported accounts, that connection got Epstein a job there. Within a few years, he was gone. And the details of his exit have never been fully clear. For most of the next decade, the money trail goes dark, until a single name appears, and it is the closest thing to a real source we have. Leslie Wexner, the billionaire behind one of America's largest retail empires. In the 1990s, Wexner did something almost no billionaire ever does. He handed Epstein sweeping power of attorney. That single document gave Epstein the legal power to borrow money, sign checks, buy property, and move assets, in Wexner's name. For years, this was the engine, not a secret trading genius. Access. Access to one very rich man's checkbook. That Manhattan mansion, the one called the largest private home in the city, it had been connected to Wexner before it ended up with Epstein. The fortune wasn't being built. In large part, it was being transferred. Years later, after everything unraveled, Wexner publicly stated that Epstein had misappropriated vast sums from him and cut all ties. By Wexner's own account, the man he trusted had taken far more than he was ever owed. So one piece of the mystery has an answer. But it doesn't explain everything, because there was another man in Epstein's past, and he told a much darker story. Steven Hoffenberg ran a company called Towers Financial. In the 1990s, it collapsed in what prosecutors called one of the largest Ponzi schemes in American history up to that point. Hoffenberg went to prison for it. And for years afterward, he made one consistent public claim, that Jeffrey Epstein had been his partner, his accomplice, in building that scheme. Now, be precise here. That was Hoffenberg's allegation. Epstein was never charged in the Towers Financial case. But if there is any truth in it, it would mean the seed money behind the legend didn't come from genius investing at all. It would mean it came from other people's stolen savings. Which leaves the only question that the word billionaire ever really asked. When it was all over, what was Jeffrey Epstein actually worth? When he died in 2019, the assets he had himself reported added up to roughly $559 million. A staggering sum. But notice what it is not. It is not $1 billion. For 3 decades, he wore a label worth $1,000 million. And the richest snapshot we have of him, by his own numbers, falls short of it. And even that figure came with no clear explanation of how it was earned. No client list to verify it. No fund records to trace it. No trading history to prove the genius that supposedly created it. Just property, access, and a reputation that everyone repeated until it sounded like a fact. That is the autopsy. The plane was real. The island was real. The power was real. But the fortune that justified all of it may have been the most valuable thing he ever owned, precisely because it might not have fully existed. Because here is the uncomfortable truth about being called a billionaire. If enough powerful people repeat it, you don't actually need the billion. You just need everyone to believe the number is real. For Jeffrey Epstein, the number was never just money. It was the costume. It was the key that opened every door he ever walked through. And not one of those doors ever asked him to prove it. The billionaire who may never have been one. If a fortune this famous could be a myth, wait until you see the empire that was worth $47 billion and owned almost nothing. That autopsy is on screen now. Sources: for the editor, Fact Pass, Document Armored, Britannica. Where did Jeffrey Epstein get his money? Wexner Power of Attorney, Bear Stearns, reported 594 Deutschland, self-reported estate. Fox Nation, press reporting on the unexplained origins of his wealth. Public reporting on Steven Hoffenberg's Towers Financial Ponzi conviction and his allegation, never charged, that Epstein was involved. Leslie Wexner's own 2019 public statement that Epstein misappropriated funds. Every accusation is framed as allegation, claim, or attributed to its source. Subject is deceased.